Hi. That was
So, of
well
course,
done.
Very
I started
polished,
with Dave,
Rob,
but
very
Dave's not
polished.
Dave's not here, man.
Where's
Actually, believe it or
Dave?
not, I
Where's
made
Dave?
that with Canva.
Dave's not here, man. I love Canva.
Yeah, I'm just starting to learn how to use it. My wife got the paid version, and now here we go. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome Side Chat, and welcome to the Canadian Guys live stream with Graham Trude. So we'll start with some introductions. Start with a quick Kevin. Remind people who you are. I know we have some new people in the chat, so let's go around it.
Okay, well, I'm Kev, Superman Kev, 2001. Yeah, I'm a motovlogger in Southern Ontario here, and my channel is Superman Kev 2001. I put a lot of funny little videos out and instructional videos, that sort of stuff. And I ride a Harley Davidson Electric Glide Classic. Wayne, who are you?
Well, I'm Jarvis Biker. Do a little bit of toy hauler video, long distance rides, primarily around the Lake Erie, Port Dover area. Few road trips here and there, and ride a 2021 Road Glide class or limited.
Graham, we'll go to you next as our guest of honor.
Yeah, man, I'm Graham Trude. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm not a moto blogger, but I guess I kind of do it on songs and whatnot that I write. But yeah, either way, I used to ride a lot of long distance. I don't really do so much of that anymore. I'm more of a town bar hopper type of rider, except I don't drink, so I'm not much of a bar hopper, coffee hopper. And yeah, man, I ride a 2012 Road Glide. I've got it, all bagged out, and that's just my thing. I've every bike I've always bought, I've rebuilt and whatnot. So yeah,
cool,
awesome. And for everyone else, I'm Rob, and I'm also go as Dead Knot. I'm the anomaly in the crowd. I ride a 2014 Victory, and I'm from out in Halifax, Nova Scotia right now. So I'm going to divert to the side chat and welcome a few people. Because we have, all the way out west, Road Rash HD. We got Filthy French Fry from Edmonton. We have Brett Weir from Edmonton as well. And then I saw we had a J-Ride 636. He's a new subscriber to me. Hey, guys, go check out everyone else. Links are on the video description. And what we can, learn from each other's videos, and you're a new guy on channels. Hopefully my new stuff will help. We also got Jonesy's here. Travis, My Done Life, Cal, Snowboard Biker out here in Halifax.
Road Rash.
And I think I got everyone.
Road Rash HD is there too.
I said him first, man.
Oh, okay.
Because he's on the West Coast, all the way in sunny Vancouver.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
My Done Life.
Well, Angel Face was there, but she had to leave again.
She had to go to work.
Yep.
She had a meeting right about now. She put all her stuff in the thing. So one of the questions, Graham, we always go with first is tell us your sort of motorcycle history. What got you into riding? Like, how did the two-wheel passion hit you?
You know what? I grew up watching Biker Mice from Mars is what it was called. It was a cartoon. And I remember, always watching these biker mice as just a little kid. So then I had all the toys and everything like that. And it's just, I've got pictures of me from when I was a kid, always getting taken to school, and my one of my mom's coworkers, gold wings. So it's just something that's always kind of been with me. It's always kind of been built with me, and I've always had a love for them, man, since I can remember.
So, have you had a bunch of bikes yourself over the years? Like, what was your first bike that you bought?
Yeah, man. The first bike I bought was a 2011 Fat Boy, and I ended up ripping it apart, and I built like more of a Chicano style chopper with it, and it was just a beautiful looking piece. And eventually I wasn't riding it as much, but it was a lot of maintenance too. And then when I went to Vegas one time, I ended up renting a bike. I came back and it was a bagger, and I came back and I was like, yeah, man, I'm going bagger now.
Yeah.
So you really have that bug where you just cannot let it stay the way it is. You have to modify it.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, even when I was a cop, like, I used to get in shit by my chief and stuff like that all the time because I'd drive my Fat Boy in, and I had like 18-inch bars on it, right? Just totally fucking illegal. But I mean, but I loved the bike, and I just loved the chops and everything like that. So I've kind of always been like that.
Check for Dave there, Rob.
I don't see him.
He said he's trying to log in. So
Dave's not here, man.
Yeah. No,
in the side chat.
Yeah, don't see him in StreamYard. But which bases were you tormenting the Chiefs with stuff like that?
Oh no, that wasn't even that was my chief when I was in policing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, I started obviously at St. John, which a lot of people do, and then I went over to Gagetown for my DP1 and whatnot with the Armored Corps, and then I ended up getting posted out to Edmonton after that with the LDSH.
Oh yeah, Lord Strathcona, nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So it was fun, and I'm lazy too, so it was perfect. And it was like, I got
to admit that.
I don't give a shit, man. Like,
that's actually the armored guys. All the armored guys I know, they openly admit it. Like that's why they went armored, because they got to ride. They like gravy.
No walking required.
Yeah, and you know what? I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it too, and realistically, we worked hard on those, pieces of shit tanks that we had. But I mean, it was something that it was almost a prideful thing, when you could actually take this, chunk of metal, and then actually repair it to the point of getting it going. And it was almost like, because, I grew up in a country setting, right? So we had big trucks and four wheels and stuff like that. So I figured, okay, well, if I could do that and get paid for it, then, why not? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes a guy who's has a lot of live streams, he's just retired British Armored. He was actually at Battis in Suffield, and just retired to Okotoks. And so he likes telling people about the teapots. There's Dave. Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Good evening. Hey, Graham. How are you?
Good, man.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I have the perfect excuse.
Oh,
my wife went shopping at Costco, and guess what time she got home and had me unload the truck?
8:00.
7:59. So we're close. So sorry I'm late, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, that's cool. So back to the side chat, we have a few more. KS Moto Cafe from Victoria, BC is here. Ron Hanna is here. Critter Moto, he's also Vancouver Island, if I remember correctly. And yeah, Cal, Snowbird Biker, I saw that picture because you were enjoying being in Dildo, Newfoundland. I saw that picture. And yeah, so we got a good crowd, 17 watching already. Larry Blevins is here. And a buddy of mine texted me. He's doing some brewing in his garage while watching. That's if you see me wearing a t-shirt that says Party Time Brews, that's him. Another military guy. And yeah, so hi, James. If you're watching, hi. So I think we've caught up to everyone on the side chat. So, Dave, we have a whole bunch of new people here. So take a minute and tell everyone about yourself, and then we'll get back to the script.
Well, thank you very much. I'll just take a quick second. I'm Dave, and my channel's Harley's Diners Rides. I ride a 2007 Harley Davidson Street Glide. My wife also rides, and she rides a 2008 Harley Davidson Deluxe. And like Wayne, we have a 38-foot toy hauler that we pull around the country and ride some beautiful roads, both in Canada and throughout the U.S. And looking forward to our next trip, which is beginning of June. We're heading to Americade in down Lake George. So, that's quickly about me. And my channel is all about motorcycling and RVing, right? So looking forward to the better weather happening.
So, Rob,
Cool.
what are we talking about tonight? I see Graham's got a lot of guitars there.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Well, the nice thing is
so
he
does
probably plays his guitars, whereas Wayne dusts them every now and
I
then.
actually went and got new strings, and I got one restrung and tuned up, and I actually played it the other day.
So look at this. We're motivating you.
And then I got waylaid to Duke, Oklahoma for the week for a customer and never got back to them. So we'll get into it again. Get the rest of them all strung up and start playing some more.
Nice. So on to the next question for Graham. As you mentioned, you used to do some long rides. Now you just sort of like the short hops. Do you do bike nights? Because what's your sort of favorite go-to for coffee or ice cream?
That's a I don't know. That's a funny question. Because I go to a lot of different places. I mean, I try and just kind of just really nomad it and kind of just go wherever, right? Wherever the wind blows me kind of thing. And well, that sounded weird. But anyway, I just do that, I just kind of go, man. And just like we all kind of should, just enjoy that freedom. And then if I find a place, I'll stop. And usually I try and find like shitholes because I think it's more fun. Like those real hole in the wall type places. I love that, man. That's the joy of me going out and being able to do that and being able to be on the bike is, it's almost just a style of freedom.
So is this a nomad thing by yourself, or do you ride with others, or both, or what?
No, I don't ride with anybody, man. I ride by myself. Yeah.
Cool.
I just mean like, the terminology itself, like it's kind of just like lone, I ride with my wife. Like she rides an Indian Scout and, and that's what we do. And I mean, I used to ride with some military guys like back in the day. And I used to ride with some of my old police guys back in the day. But I mean, everyone's kind of moved on and I'm busy doing my thing. So I use it as a therapy.
So your wife, how did she get into motorcycles?
That was definitely, she brought it up to me when we first got together because I always rode. And she said, I've always wanted to ride. And, she had never ridden anything really other than a bicycle before. So for her birthday, I ended up getting her that course through Georgian College in Barrie.
Yeah.
And dude, after like 2 days, she was riding like no issues, man. Yeah. It was amazing. So,
now my wife, she used to ride when she was young. Like her father used to buy her a dirt bike all the time, and she'd ride that. And started out with like a Honda 50 and worked her way up to like a 75 dirt bike, which is full size pretty much. Yeah. But she has no inclination to get on a bike and ride it now. She wants to sit on the back and talk to me and look at what's going on around her. She doesn't have any ambition to be in control of the bike at all. So it's weird how the one and the other, it's
you have to really want to, I think, to get
I know, but as Graham said, his wife never had anything to do with them prior to being with him and kind of getting into it that way, which is cool. So
I mean, to be honest, like I think it's more of a vanity thing too, like and that's just the straight up honesty of it. Like there's nothing sexier than you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
a woman on a
Oh, yeah.
motorcycle. In my opinion. I mean, especially my wife, it was like the sexiest woman ever, I feel. And when I have
Got all the points checked here, Graham.
Yeah,
You're doing
bro.
good. You're
That's
doing
right.
good. Make sure she watches the video.
Just a second, I gotta go back. No, and, no, man, it was just, you know, like it was one of those things where the look of it too, like it was just that appeal, that sexiness, and it's a different look. It's a badass look, but it's an outlaw look, but it's a, you know, and for a good looking woman on it too, like, dude, yeah. So I mean, you know, I think she saw that too, and it was kind of like, all right, well,
Yeah, because that's kind of a bit like when I got back from Afghanistan, I talked my wife into taking the course. Because a friend of hers who had lost her husband wanted to take the course, and I told my wife, it'll help make you a better passenger. She came back after the first night of the course basically saying, I'm really enjoying this. She came back the second day basically saying, I want my own bike. So when she was off on the third day of the course, I was off picking her up a bike. But so I started simple with just the exact same bike she took the course on, a little 250. And then a short time later, Marauder 800, straight Cobra, straight pipes, loudest bike around. And she just loved riding it around. She had a few scares of idiot drivers and riders in Edmonton. So she kind of got away from it for a while and just went on the back of mine. But even yesterday, she was actually sort of saying, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't mind a bike again, but I do enjoy riding with you. So, you know, there's that thought is still there.
Yeah.
You know, I used to teach that course in Kitchener. I taught it for about 4 years, and there was a couple of different what do I call them? I'll call them clients that would show up, and you'd end up with the guy who thought he knew everything, who after a weekend wasn't much better than when he started. You'd have the girl who couldn't ride at all, and by the end of the weekend is going through the whole course faster than most of the guys. You know,
it's like rifles. Like it's the same. Like you guys know just as well as I do, man. Like the best shooters in the world are women. You know,
take your time.
Well, yeah, like, and they're, you know, they've got that touch. It's the same. Like I owned a tattoo shop before, and my best tattoo artists out there were all women. It was, dude, it's just like they have the touch. They have that. There's something that they just have that we don't, and you know, it's incredible, man. Like, so yeah, I find it just incredible when I see it. And I mean, you know, my wife rode on the back of my bike for years too. And she loved it as well. And she still does when we go on longer trips and stuff like that, because she doesn't feel comfortable going down the 401 or something. But I mean, realistically, like, yeah, just around town to bar hop, same thing. Like I had her on a Yamaha 250. We moved up to a Sportster, but it was an '07. So it was before it was fuel injected. So it was carb, top heavy. You know, man, like it was heavier than my Fat Boy, top heavy wise. So I ended up, we were on a road trip down to Niagara Falls. We swung by Oakville Indian and tried out a Scout, and that was it, man. It was just from there. It was like, oh, she just rode it, came back 10 minutes later, and was like, that's the one.
Yeah.
I
think if we go back, that's the bike my wife has sat on that she likes the most right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with girls, and they end up buying what is that bike? The Suzuki Savage. It's a single pumper. Girls always end up buying that thing, and I
Savage 650, yeah. S40 now, C40, something like that.
Maybe, but it is like the heaviest, like top end heavy bike you can ride, and it's easy to knock over. Like it's easy to fall over on. Like you'd be better off on a like a Honda 750 Shadow, you know, something that's low, or a Sportster, you know, something that's a little lower than some of these some of the bikes that they end up getting. They're always afraid to get something with more CCs, you know.
You
So
know,
it looks like Military Biker is in the side chat now.
Oh,
Is
I
is
he?
don't,
Hey, Scouse.
I don't know, you know, a ton about where you guys are, but a lot of the female riders around Central Ontario, at least where I am, are some badass chicks, man. I mean, they're riding like road glides, street
Mhm.
glide baggers, like 16-inch bars and stuff. Like they're repping heavier wheels than most of like the seasoned riders that come out here to Bike Fest. Like it's insane.
I will deny it forever, but the best rider we had at our course was a young female instructor. We'd be going through stuff, and she taught me how to wheelie.
Yeah, man. Like they got the touch. I'm telling you,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
it is what it is. You know.
Yeah. Uh, what's the next question, Rob?
I'm just answering Scout here.
Oh,
Well, you're doing that. You know what? The Graham, my wife took the Writer's Ed course at Georgian College too, and she just loved it.
Oh yeah.
And she's had some big bikes. She had a Victory Kingpin,
Yeah.
which is a big, big bike. Before she settled with the deluxe. But I tell you, the being able to go and ride with her is a lot of fun. I do most of my riding with my wife.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I mean, I'm a massive fan of Victory too. I still, drink out of my Victory coffee mugs every morning. Like, I always liked Victory, and it was upsetting when they kind of folded there. But
Yeah.
I think they folded the wrong bike.
they did. They totally did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Victory was great, man.
I like the way they look better than the others, But what can I say?
Me too.
Yeah. Well, they had to compete with Harley, right? They wanted to go up against Harley, and they figured the only way they could do that was to, simulate into a Harley and, come out with the Indian.
Yeah, and the Indian designs, they don't mimic the Harley, but they are similar.
Yeah.
Like what is it? The Scout looks kind of like the Road Glide.
But it's the same with the Indians too, right? Like the new Indians, they've got like Road Glide replicas. And
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
Yeah,
know,
that's what I meant. Yeah.
The Challenger,
yeah.
the Pursuit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
And the
Bikes,
Victory
Beards, and
bikes
Brews?
they were
What
nice
was it?
looking bikes,
Mm.
But, oh, well.
Yeah, the others were kind of retro-y, kind of like 50s style, long, stretched out, smooth lines. They were cool looking bikes, and it was a shocker when, like, I remember it coming over the radio and saying that they were done, that they were
I couldn't believe it.
packing her in, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, all these people who had just bought new bikes, are they going to be able to get parts? Are they going to be able to get service? And I was thinking, man, what a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, let me fill you in on that one.
Mhm.
So because they shut it down and didn't declare bankruptcy, they have to support the product line for 10 years.
right.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean they have to support it well.
That's-
That means
That's the issue, right?
So they
Yeah,
supply
so-
oil filters and spark plugs.
no, it comes in an Indian package.
I knew it. I
And
knew it.
yeah,
Well, the Victories had an oil change package too. You bought the box, and it had
Yep.
the oil, the filter, and the O-rings, right?
Yep.
You bought it as a complete set.
yep. So now you got to buy the one, but it says Indian on it. And if you need any parts, they cost a fortune, and there's a long back order.
Hmm.
Let me tell you something. Like we just took our bike. I just took my wife's bike in for service at Indian the other day, and these guys are smart, man. Like they created something really smart there because, like, I do all the work to my bike. As I said, I'm sure you guys can do enough work to your bikes. But man, if you're rocking an Indian, you ain't doing too much work to it. Like they've built it to the point where you don't have an option to take it in or not. It's like, oh, sorry, if you need service, you want to change your pipes out, you want to do stuff like that. Like they almost have like specialized tools for the maintenance to the point where it's like you're not going old
Yeah, and even
school
their
Sportster, you know?
even their electronics, like their GPS and all
Yeah.
that stuff, is all like you got to buy a subscription to
It's all
be able to use
proprietary
the
and
damn
everything. Yeah.
thing. Like they're give me money.
But you know what? Realistically, good for them, because they found something finally that's probably going to help them survive instead of go under again and again and again. And, you know, and they're finally bought by, who is it? Polaris owns them, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got Polaris that owns them, which I don't know anything about snow sports because I'm a fair weather person. I like golf and motorcycles. So, but I imagine their stuff is good because it's been around for how many years? It's a huge brand. So I imagine, you know, the bikes are going to be great, but it was smart what they did, because now people just can't take it to any local Joe, you know, and get it dealt with. It's like, oh man, you got to take it back to the place. And
Well, Harley's kind of the same, but I mean, you can get
But
many,
Indian
many,
won't
many
void your warranty
aftermarket
if you
parts.
take it to a certified motorcycle mechanic.
Yeah.
That's right.
Certified motorcycle mechanic.
So just to give you a quick little side story here. So in 2017, Lori and I loaded up the bikes. We went to Sturgis and we were there for a week. She had her Victory Kingpin. I had my Street Glide. Every corner and every gas station in and around Sturgis and through the hills and everything, there was a guy there that was a Harley mechanic doing some type of work and upgrades. Lori's bike broke down. We found out at the end of it, after 3 days of riding in Sturgis, her bike died. We had to trailer it. I had to go and get the trailer, go and pick it up, bring it back to the campsite. It ended up being a fuel pump, which was buried down inside of the bike. But there was nobody there that knew how to work on a Victory.
Yeah.
Right. So that was her riding season over, you know, there was no place that opened. There was no place open for service work in Sturgis. So,
Right.
you know, she was screwed out of riding another.
Okay, so we were on our Memphis trip there just a few weeks back, and before we went on the ride to Nashville, I knew that the weather was turning cooler, so I knew we were going to use our hot wired suits. But I hadn't put the leads back in. I wanted to put the direct ones right on the battery. So I did that the night before. I had the bike up in the garage in the trailer, and I opened up the seat and everything, and I changed and put those leads on and brought them out to where it was. And I never noticed, but riding down the interstate heading for Nashville, I got a check engine light on. I'm like, oh man, what now, right? So I hit the infotainment center and I look for a Harley dealer, and of course there's one like 5 miles up the road.
Mm-hmm.
We go rolling in there, and I go in, and the guy said, first thing the guy said, did you have the battery disconnected? And I said, yeah, I did. And he goes, walks out, ding, 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 a little bit of push button on the blinker switches, and he's going through the menu and he clears all the codes and he says, there you go, you're good to go. That was all it was. But yeah, you have that little panic. But then I was like, wow, there's a dealer somewhere around here. And that's why I bought the Harley. Because I was riding that damn Goldwing and I was thinking, this thing ever barfs, we're done. Because you're not going to find Honda here. You're going to find, like I always said to Linda, I said, if we ever have a problem with this bike, I'm pulling into a Harley dealer and we're probably not bringing that bike home. It'll be jumping on something else. It'll be the pissed off factor. And yeah, so it was good. The dealer was fantastic. Like dropped everything. There was like 4 of them come out. We got to fix this guy up. He said, where are you from? I says, Ontario. And he goes, you're first in line.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just going to say here, Larry in the side chat, he said that the 10 years is almost up. And
No,
no?
it's
Okay.
2027.
Oh, okay.
Got
And
3 more.
My Done Life, he says, what about the certified YouTube mechanic? I mean, you could have found a YouTube certified mechanic.
Yeah.
That's me.
There you go. You weren't in Sturgis.
Well, you know, sometimes that's what you got to do, right? It's search it out on Google it on YouTube and see what's going on, and
dude,
maybe you just get the part and do it yourself. I mean, or do something.
I can't even change the air filter without removing the tank.
Yeah. in 2017, I wasn't on YouTube. I wasn't really watching it. So, you know,
I didn't grow up
Still had
building.
the flip phone, and you weren't able to.
the crank. It was a crank, I think, at that time. Wayne.
Well, yeah, it is Canada, you know.
I had Lori standing on the back of the truck with the antenna.
Yeah. A
You
little
know,
to
while
the
I was
left,
cranking.
a little to the right.
Okay. As you can tell, Graham, we do squirrel all over the place.
That's great.
Yeah. We're just
I
like a
think that's
toddler
fun.
sometimes. Ooh,
It's
sparkly.
like watching the kids play hockey. You know, when they're 8 years old. It's just like watching the leaves blow in your backyard.
We're bad.
Yeah.
We have a hard time staying on task. But
What
we
is the
do.
topic?
That's okay. You know what? It's there's nothing to do, nowhere to be, and we're just hanging out, shooting the breeze, right? Why not?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what Graham does.
Well,
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that. Let's roll into my next segment. I'm going to play a short video.
Truly believe that the main portion of healing starts with camaraderie. You know, it starts with those individuals who are like-minded, who have maybe gone through similar situations, but being able to sit down with them and express and explain and, you know, get those things off of your chest can, you know, it can take you a really long way.
Yeah, that's so well done.
Yeah. So I will, this,
Hey, Mike, by the way.
Thanks, man.
so the mental health aspects of riding, and you talk a little bit about camaraderie in there with your service background and things like that. I just wanted to kind of go into that. And you said you mostly ride alone. So let's talk about, you know, just the mental health benefits of getting that air funneled through your brain.
Yeah, I mean, so what I do is I really reference riding my motorcycle like songwriting. And I have a very difficult time writing songs with other people. And I have a very difficult time riding motorcycles with other people. And the main reason why isn't because I don't like other people. It's because it's my therapy. It's something that I need to be alone with my mind and my thoughts, not having to worry about anybody or anything other than me and the road, and kind of just, you know, whatever mentally is going through my mind. So that's what I get when I ride my motorcycle. There's no difference in feeling that, you know, I would in writing a song. It's the same as me going out on my bike and riding. So it's that emotional release, and it's that living in the moment feeling.
Excellent way of putting it. Because I actually, I truly didn't really get much inside my own head until actually I was in Afghanistan, and I was first time I actually bought an MP3 player with earbuds, and I was actually, you know, my career was flying on Sea King helicopters, so you always had the headphones on, big helmet, but you always had a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So what I really liked in Afghanistan was putting the earbuds in, and it's just like sticking your fingers in your ears, where you're allowed to let your brain be alone.
Totally.
And so I just recently, a friend gave me a Cena communicator, and I'm just installing it now. And I've always been hesitant of it because of that correlation between flying, where you've got intercom, radios, tactics, everything going on. And I've always been wary of, do I want to bring that back, or do I want to keep, you know, riding to be just me, some music playing, and the road? And that's, you know, but it got given to me for free, so I might as well try it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, what's your thoughts on this topic?
I've made an awful lot of videos talking about this. I've done, I think I've probably made, I don't know how many. I do a number of them, and every single one of them is sort of the same. If you ever watch my videos, Graham, what I do is I do voiceovers a lot, just because I find that works better for me. I'll shoot a lot of the road, and I do a lot of different shots, and then I will put my thoughts as I'm going with music. And a lot of time, what I talk about is exactly that. It's like how I find it for me. I have a lot of anxiety, and when I'm out on the motorcycle, I don't need anything. It's like it's the only time and it's the only place that I can be that my brain doesn't go 900 miles an hour, because I've got to pay attention to what I'm doing. And so I am in the moment. And I think that's that's what I love about the bike more than anything, is that in the moment, it's you and the bike and the road. And I don't find that I'm thinking about anything except being there.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. How about you, Wayne? What's your thoughts on that?
I like all the technology. I like to use it, but when I'm on a larger ride, we don't use it. It's more for Linda and I, or if I'm with the Canadian guys, just the two or three of us that we attempt to use them. It can detract from the ride. It can make it complicated, especially if there's issues with them. So sometimes you try to get it working and there's an issue and you just shut them off and say the hell with it and just ride. And
Yeah, I like the comms though. It is nice sometimes. I think it's safer using the comms when you're traveling with other people. Like,
well, it's better for us if we're making videos. I mean,
Yeah.
then you've got conversation going pretty much all the time, because it's hard to, as you know,
You
it's
go over
hard to
here so I
keep
can hear
yakking
this.
about nothing when there's nothing going on really, and you're concentrating on writing. If there's two or three in the conversation, then it's a little bit more active audio wise. So
yeah, that's why I do my videos the way I do, because I find it's just too hard to explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it. It's easier for me to do it after. Other people can do it that way. I just don't. I like to. My videos tend to be short, but I try to keep them short and interesting rather than,
my done life, Rob.
Yep. See.
Yep.
Here's the cool thing, is that there's zero rules to creativity.
Absolutely.
So you can really do whatever the hell you want, and as long as creatively, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you 100% on that. I find that, like, you can come up with. I find my best ideas are not what I planned. It's probably the same with music with you too, eh? What you start off with and what you end with are different.
yeah, man, it's as I said, like, music is the same thing. Like, when I go out for a ride, I don't know which way I'm even gonna go. I just go, or how long I'm going for. It's like I just throw my helmet on and go, and if I'm loving it, which usually I am, then I'll just keep going. And same with music, man. I'll just start playing a riff and singing a song, and if it sounds cool, then it's like, all right, I'll throw that down on the old cell phone recorder. And if it sucks, then I'll still put it down on the cell phone recorder. I just won't tell anyone.
I won't play it again.
The creative part of it changes. I mean, you have your initial what you're hearing, and you want to get it down, but then when you get to post production of it, and you've polished it, and then you fix this and you fix that, it can have a total different sound. And you see that with other artists, like famous, even the big guys. They'll you hear a raw tape that they've kept for years of the original, and it's nothing like what the end version was. Like, it's a process, I guess, is what you would call it.
Yeah, it's just like, you can't, there's no such thing as going into a recording studio and creating a masterpiece with just like, well, there is, because, Eric Clapton's done it.
It happens, yeah.
Willie Nelson's done it. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's so rare to see that. But the reason why you go into these wicked studios is that even if you're laying down like an acoustic recording or something, it's the production, it's the systems electronically that your music is flowing through. It's different systems that I could name off, but you probably wouldn't know anything about them. But they're big console systems for recording. And anyways, these, just like this, they all have different sounds in them too. So I don't know. I'm just ranting now. I don't care.
Boots and Jeans has got a good comment there, Rob.
Yeah. And so our Newfoundland connection is
No, they're in California. They're not Newfoundland.
no. Where'd he go? I'm losing track of the side chat here. I thought, old guy on a bike. There he is. He's saying goodnight. He's got to head out. So that we've got a coverage from Newfoundland to California right now.
That's pretty good.
And Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to jump in for, the freedom of the open road there. I have two styles of riding. One is with people and one is without people. and one of the big things for me on a bike is, after so many years of riding a bike, I still can't put a full face helmet on. I've got to have that half helmet on. I have to feel the wind. I have to smell the grass. I have to, be in that moment when I'm riding. And I spent a lot of money and put a big booming stereo in. And I'll be honest, I hardly use it. In the truck when I'm driving, I have the radio on all the time. So I know the opening lyrics of just about every single song. And when I'm riding, I can sing that first verse 100 times because I don't know the second one. But anyway, just being on the bike and riding with, just all the senses working is really relaxing. I've talked a number of my friends out of selling their bikes because they didn't use it. And I said, listen, there'll be that one night you come home from work where you've had a bad day, and all it takes is 5 minutes to jump on the bike, get out, and it'll help wash away the day.
The best thing. Go ahead, Kev.
I was going to say, have you ever had the situation where the song that comes on the stereo is perfect for where you are?
Yeah.
I've had that happen a few times. Just like just the perfect song comes on.
Driving all night, my hands wet on the wheel.
Whatever, yeah.
Throttle goes
You're
around
2
a little
hours
bit more.
west of Edmonton, heading towards Jasper, and then finally get the Iron Maiden run to the hills.
Yeah.
That was my favorite ride, man, going from Edmonton to Jasper. I love it.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Oh, beautiful. Just a beautiful, beautiful ride. You go into Jasper and it's like these elk everywhere, and you're just, you know what I mean? You could almost like just touch one as you're driving by. It's crazy, man. It's such a movie.
Well, when I lived in Edmonton, I would go to go visit family near Kamloops. So
yeah,
I did that stretch many times.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you were saying about getting home and going for a ride just to clear your head. The best is when you come out of work and it's sitting there waiting to go home, and you take the long way. Take the long way home.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that is the best when you just come out and there's your bike sitting there, ready to go.
So
it's got that little ting.
So you mentioned that you like the ride, heading to Jasper and stuff like that, and Military Biker mentions Icefields Parkway. So do you have a favorite ride you've done or one you want to do again?
Yeah, so far, one of my favorite rides and worst rides actually was Joshua Tree, and I did it a couple years ago with my wife. And it was a great ride, but the only problem is I was heading on the turnoff, and I was wearing a half skull helmet with glasses on, and I'm, probably going like 90 miles an hour. And of course, I get hit by like the biggest fucking locust right on the face. And it literally felt like a huge punch in the face.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm sitting there riding. My wife, Kim, is on the back. And all I'm doing is just going, oh, I can't, you can't do anything subtle, or rash, but you're just sitting there like, oh my God.
I had a bug hit my knuckle one time on the throttle hand, and I thought I broke my hand.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bro, these things were like this.
Yeah.
These locusts were
It's
like,
a hit. You don't think it is, but it is.
dude, it was a punch in the face.
Yeah.
I had a June bug hit me in the face one time.
Yeah.
I got hit.
I
Right
think
here.
that's what it was that hit my hand, was
Yeah.
a June bug or a bumblebee or something. It was that size.
And then I've had a yellow jacket get caught in underneath the strapping here. And by the time I got off the bike and to the side, my ear was about this big from it stinging me.
Jesus.
The worst is when you finally get the stupid thing out and it drops now between your legs. And you're still riding.
Well,
I knew a guy that was going across the bridge, and he had a bumblebee go up his sleeve.
Oh no.
He had to wait till he got to the end of the bridge, and he just dropped his bike and tore off his coat to get it away from it.
Graham, is there enough material in this topic here for you to write a song about bugs and bikes?
Bugs and bikes?
No, man.
It's not going to work.
I'm going to be straight with you.
That ain't going to work.
Yeah.
But
Because there's no way to rhyme with ah.
But other than that horrible, turn off experience, what a beautiful play. Like when you talk about riding through, like I did Death Valley with my wife.
That's a good ride.
Yeah, man. Like we did a lot of cool stuff, but there was something about Joshua Tree that I was like, just being there. And I'm very spiritual too. I love UFOs and ghosts. That's my shit. I love it. Don't know why. I do. And I don't really, I just find something about that place that was just so off and weird that I just loved it. And I was like, wow, there's just something really cool about this. But anyway, that goddamn locust ruined my day. So
Joshua Tree, is that like Monument Valley, or is that a different place now?
it's like out Palm Springs. Probably about like half hour out of Palm Springs. I think heading towards Arizona. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably gonna get criticized on that, but I'm sorry. But
so how did you get down there? What made you go that way?
Well, we do a lot of family trips and stuff like that. I mean, my wife and I used to travel a lot before our son came into the picture. So every time we would go somewhere, Eagle Rider, which is a fantastic, organization out in all over the U.S. I actually tried to open one as a business here a couple of years back because I just loved it, but the insurance and whatnot. Anyway, for the people who don't know, it's a rental company all over the U.S. and a lot of them are located within the Harley Davidsons now. So what you do is you go over there and you can kind of rent a bike and do whatever touring, right? So when we go out to Vegas, that's kind of what I do for a day. And it's the same wherever we go to, for music or for my wife's work or anything like that for travel. That's what we do is we rent from Eagle Rider and just rip.
Mm-hmm.
Rich and Cake, they say it's in California. Joshua Tree.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's Palm Springs area. So it was we went up to LA, did LA for school. People watch, got to see some weird shit, which was fun. And then and then we went to Joshua Tree and stayed in Palm Springs, did some golfing and went home.
Right on.
Good.
Hey, bro.
What's up, Rob?
I was looking at my next. We're actually going totally off my script, which is great.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Best laid plans are
No plan ever survives initial contact.
We're just squirrel.
But my next comment is actually we've kind of touched on a little bit, and I wanted you to talk about the music as therapy, because I have friends who are involved with Vets Canada, using music and guitars for PTSD. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, music has just always been a huge therapy for me. I mean, ever since, I was a kid also. So, bought my first bass guitar at the Hawk Shop, learned the whole Our Lady Peace Clumsy album, and then kind of, continued on from there, and but I loved it. Like, that was my thing. Right. So, I always continue that. I remember, like, even in basic training, I got in shit because, like, my 4th week there, I went down and I'm like, hey, can I get the acoustic guitar? And they're like, you should be up there fucking cleaning and doing all this stuff. I'm like, just give me the guitar, man. I don't get, so, but I never knew it was going to go anywhere professionally or anything like that. I can say that. Like, I'd always dreamed of it, of course, but it's a lottery ticket, man. And it's hard too, because there's so much talent out there as well. So, yeah, but I mean, songwriting and therapy is probably like the number one for me, and it always has been. I got into it really, actually, like when I wrote my first song, "The Ones We Lost," and actually put it out to the public. That was about my buddy Larry Rudd, who passed away in 2010. So from there, I saw some people, getting some solace in it, which was good. And then I kind of continued from there and did some stuff for Wounded Warriors over the years. But I was really kind of focused on my law enforcement career at the time too, because, music's hard to make money, man. Like,
yeah, I know a few people who are trying. They're trying. COVID didn't help.
No. And I feel so bad for the people, for the people in my industry and stuff like that. I do. And I mean, luckily, like, my wife and I my wife's into business and whatnot. I'm retired now from policing and military. I am doing music full time now, which is lovely. And I've been afforded that opportunity to do that with the individuals who I've been working with. So, I'm super happy, and I'm just super lucky. But, I think gratitude is the real key. It's not the songwriting that helps everything. It's kind of the gratitude that I get to do it, that I have the mobility in hands and a brain to actually do it,
Yeah. I was traveling this week. I was in Oklahoma, and I had to fly from Dallas to Chicago, and the guy sitting beside me was U.S. Army, active. Yeah. At first, I was sitting on his left side, so I couldn't see where he'd been, but I kind of looked around after a while to see the patches on the right side, and Syria and Iraq both. And we were talking about bikes and stuff, and I'm flipping through all the photos on my phone, and he sees my guitars and he goes, "Oh, you play?" And I said, "I butcher songs is what I do." And he starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah, me too." And then he just said, "Clears my head." That was the only thing he said about, that's all that was his. I just went, "Yeah, I get it."
Yeah.
So.
Like, that's, and again, like, that's the reason why I write. Like, it's not, and that's why I say, like, it's hard for me to write with other people, because, like, and I've had the opportunity to write with some amazing people, guys from Tennessee, guys from all over the place, the Good Brothers, Jason McCoy. Like, I've written with some incredible artists, but they know too. Like, I have such a hard time with it, because I get so involved in my own brain. It's not about the criticism. I don't give a shit about that. Criticize me all you want, man. I love the hate, but the big thing is mentally, being like, it's hard, because if you've ever sat in a writer's room, it's almost like similar to like this, and then you'll be kind of like just sitting there, expected almost to like come up with something after a minute. And my mind goes, "Oh fuck, they're staring at me, waiting for me to come up with something right now. I've got nothing." So it's just honesty. So I'm like, I like to just be, in my zone and kind of like, all right. Here we
And
go.
Jason's probably about the easiest going guy you're gonna sit down with too.
Jason's he's a mastermind, man. I mean,
Yeah.
also like I get like Jason's from around my area too. I've become friends with him, which is nice. And he's somebody who I looked up to also as as an artist. And when I was even a kid, he was
Yeah.
always the big musician that made it out of
Yeah.
this area and into Tennessee. So I was always
Yeah.
like, oh well, I want to do that too. And
Well, he
I'm lucky.
rides, so that helps, with his cool factor.
What's that?
He rides too, so his cool factor.
Yeah, he rides. We were riding at his place a couple of months back, and he was showing me his chopper and whatnot. And it's just a beautiful old Roadhammer's chopper, and just
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, they
older
played
guys,
here quite a few times.
yeah, solid people. Just
Yeah.
just good, military supporting, nice, great, genuine people. Like I don't have time for shitty people in my life.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck who you are, how much money you have, or what you do, or I just don't have time for it because we live so short. But Jason's one of those people, and is just a genuinely good person.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
And I noticed some of your music. Like say, I'll post a Spotify link in the chat here shortly. You have been doing some other collaborations. Now you've talked about songwriting. I've noticed with like some of the singing. How's that been going for you? Like, is that more of a? Because you did the Singing Soldiers as the charitable thing. Does singing together with someone a unique proposition for you, or how's that go?
No, it really goes back to that whole hanging around with good people. I mean, it's just I meet artists that are really just genuinely good people that actually care about things, and I'm like, hey, let's work together. That's
explain the Singing Soldiers, please.
The Singing Soldiers was a group put together a couple of years back, and what we did was we basically went out and sang country music with different festivals and stuff. We did some stuff for Wounded Warriors Canada, True Patriot Love, but it was essentially country music and whatnot.
Name some names in it.
I don't understand what you mean. Name some names.
Who else was in it?
Chris Sirey was in it.
Yes, Chris. Chris actually was one of my first guitar instructors.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So Chris.
That's why I was weaving in because I knew he played with them. So
yeah.
There's a talent.
There's
a talent.
Chris was a great talent, and he's a great guitar player. And I'm not sure if he's still playing. We kind of after my wife and I had our son, we kind of lost touch. And
he's around. He's around. Yeah.
Yeah. Just life happens, and that's it is. It was a great thing when we were doing it, but it's not really what I do or who I am. Like who I am is not a singing soldier. I'm Graham Trude, and I'm a father and a husband, and I'm not fucking, I'm not a legionnaire, singing Danny Boy. Like that's just not.
The last time I saw Chris, I was stopped at a stoplight in a small town here in southern Ontario, and all of a sudden he's running across the street at me. So we had a big hug in the middle of the street.
Oh, nice.
And the light turned green. I was like, "See you later, man." That was the last time I saw him.
Well, that's the neat thing. I mean, like military guys are like that too. Like I ran into a buddy of mine that I hadn't seen in probably 8 years, maybe, that I was in Afghanistan with. Didn't even really talk to him on social media. And we ran into each other at a hotel. Didn't even say a word. Just big hug. How you doing? Type thing. And then on your way. Well,
that's the best part about friends. You haven't seen each other for probably a year or years, and the conversation just takes off from right where you left off when whatever you were talking about the last time you saw them. It's kind of the way things go usually.
Yeah, man. And I mean, the Soldiers was great. It had a good purpose to it, and I think that purpose was served, at least to my point. You know, if Chris and them wanted to carry on the band, it was like, go for it, man. That's all you. But you know, who am I, right? Like, I'm not a cowboy. I'm not a country cowboy. You know, like, I don't ride a horse and shit. You know, at the end of the day, like, I love country music, but I ride a motorcycle. You know, like, I smoke. You know, like, I do things like that where it's not really that. You know,
Chris is a biker too. Another one that's a biker and a musician too.
Yeah,
Chris. Yeah, he did the Cabot Trail. There's a video on Facebook of him being in some little hotel somewhere, and they had a guitar leaning against the wall, and he just picked it up and started playing. The ladies behind the counter were like, "Oh."
So that little video that we saw that Rob played, what was that used for?
Well, that was actually used for a music video that I shot with a friend of mine, Simone Denny, and she's the singer of Love Inc. And they had, you know, that big hit Superstar and Broken Bones and all those songs back in the day. So we ended up doing a song together that's but I had some issues legally with contracts and stuff like that on a previous album. So we ended up taking it down and remastering the album, which is great. And then we're actually going to release those songs at the end, continually. But PTSD has been completely remastered, which is the new song and whatnot. But anyway, back to it. Simone Denny. Sorry, I get on tangents, man. Yeah. So, question again.
What was the video used for?
Right. So yeah. So anyway, so we shot this video, Home Crowd, with Simone Denny, and we were using this as footage to see if it would kind of interlude in the video in some way, and it did not. It didn't make the footage, which was unfortunate because I'm like, I really like this footage. It's cool. So I asked Millen Sharpless, who shot it, who's you know, a genius, and he shoots all that Highway 401 and everything, or Heavy Rescue 401. Yeah. So he films all that. So anyway, he did the music video and he had all that footage. So I was like, if you shoot it to me, that'd be great, man. So he did, and I took advantage of it.
Yeah,
good.
It's very cool. I like that little, but I want to see more. Want more.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be more, but it's just, you know, it's a slow release and it's different, right? Like, I'm working with a different management company. You know, the management company that I'm working with now is, you know, they're incredible. They know really, like, how to properly put this out so it can make the best effect. Because the great thing is writing songs is cool and everything like that, but the problem is that if you put it out to the public, there's got to be a strategy similar to every business, right? Or else you're going to be able to reach the people that need to actually hear that song. And that was the problem with Prior. So what we did is re-edit, remaster that stuff, and then we get to push it out, which is nice.
So Wayne, do you want to talk about your guitars at all? Talk about your musical career?
Career. No career. There'll never be any money making on my side of this.
Here's the thing, though. There doesn't need to be.
It's maybe sit down with a buddy once in a while and hammer away at something, but I've gotten away from it. I've been away from it for a couple of years now, and it was bugging me. I see them sitting there and they're talking to me all the time, and but you know, I've made a pact to myself that we're going to get back at it again, and because I kind of forgot half the songs I knew at the time, and now it's to get back and brush up on everything, and so that I'm able to, when I'm out, that I'd be able to jump in and play in the background with the volume down a little bit so nobody can actually hear what I'm doing, but it looks like I'm doing something.
What kind of guitar do you play?
I have a 2013 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top, and I have a really, really good Mexican Strat,
Oh,
Fender
nice.
Strat. It's been pimped quite a bit, and it's actually a pretty good guitar. And then I've got a Yamaha acoustic and a Seagull acoustic as well. That's the one that's got the sound. When you want to sit and be mellow, that Seagull's the one you pull out.
Well, that's great, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, Dave, do you guys play at all? Because I play the stereo. That's about it.
Yeah.
I used to play. I've got I guess it was back in the 80s. I bought an acoustic guitar, an LYS. It was made in BC, and I played that for a number of years. But then, me working at in the aircraft industry for a good number of years at the beginning, kind of left me with a bit of carpal in my hands. So I, after a little while, my hands start to hurt, and
Yeah.
I
That's okay.
haven't.
Well, that's the reason I got away from it too, Dave. That's basically
be
the reason, but it's
10 years.
better.
Yeah, but I endured the pain and played at our wedding, and my wife loves me for it, and I have to play that song at least once a year for her, and I think I owe her a few
Air
years,
guitar.
but anyway, air guitar.
Is that Rich or Cake?
But probably Kate. Rich is probably a drummer.
We got drums too, if anybody's interested.
Oh,
Bought a brand new throne. Anybody wants to sit on it and hammer away, it's
Yeah.
ready to go.
Graham,
we
can you play us anything?
yeah. Wayne is we want to get him sort of like the Canadian guys music interlude, right?
No.
For when
You
there's
Never
any
gonna
dead
happen.
air, right? He can strum it.
No.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get music on this channel. So
Too much pressure.
More to add to the culture, right? Because we're so uncultured.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the lightning round.
Yes, let's do that.
Do you have a favorite musician, Graham?
1977 Leonard Skinner.
Oh. Yeah.
Wayne?
Oh. I'm a rock guy. Somebody's gonna yell at me, but we're big Nickelback fans, and don't yell at me. It's just we like it. It's more the personalities of the people because they're all assholes that we kind of like them. But Def Leppard, more the older stuff, the original.
On Through the Night or
album with them.
Pyromania, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Gods of War. I love that
Oh,
song.
yeah. Off Hysteria. Yeah.
Stephen Clark had some really good input before his passing, and I was never a Beatles. There's a couple of Beatles songs that I really like, but never really a big fan. Clapton, I like the stuff that Clapton does now, where it's him on stage and he's got a couple of his buddies and they're just basically jamming up there. I really
You're just trying to give Kevin lots of time to think of one now.
I have one.
Yeah. So I'm kind of across the board. I'll listen to everything.
Yeah.
Country, rock, blues.
Yeah.
I'm
Tired Adventures
open.
in the side chat now too, from down the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin.
It's more, I kind of like the musician part of it, the technical part of it, and watching those, like Clapton. I mean, what a smooth picker that guy, and then you got guys in the country. What's his name? Oh,
what's his name? I know him.
no.
Buddy, what's his name? He's Fnoofy.
I'll shut up. I'm having brain freeze on it, but there's, like they're really, really, really good guitar players that they cross over into different genres, and they can just walk on stage and play with anybody. And it's I guess I'm just jealous. So I like to watch them.
I won't take very long. I like a lot of stuff, but for the most part, I like Steve Forbert. You probably don't even know who he is, and so there you go. He had one hit, and when he was a big deal back in the '70s, they said he was the next.
What's his name?
Yeah, what's his name? You know?
Oh, that guy that sings.
Yeah,
I think I know him.
for
No.
sure.
But I like country stuff for the most part. My stepson is a musician, plays in a band. They got a couple albums out, and I love going to live music. And like I would say I'm more of a live music fan than I am a band fan, if you know what I mean. Because
Yeah.
like
No
when
name guys in pubs sitting there having a
Vince
drink.
Gill.
and
Vince Gill is who I was trying to think of. Dire Straits actually tried to get him before they got
Vince Gill, the sweetheart of country music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Dave.
he's those kind of guys.
Yeah, I have different tastes at different times. You know, country. I go back to my favorite group is Alabama.
Yeah.
You know,
There's some voices.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, Canadian rock. Burton Cummings, I think, has one of the best singing voices in the world. You know, some of the stuff he's did with the Guess Who. Bob Seger. Bob Seger, Turn the Page is my one and only all-time favorite songs, right?
Good tune.
You know, but then again, you know, like I say, I used to spend a lot of time driving, and I used to flip around the stations. So, you know, I'll even throw Chicago in as you know, that big band sound, you know, and not to mention Lighthouse, you know, an Ontario, you know, Canadian group, right? So different tastes, different times, right? But yeah, I love music.
I'm almost embarrassed to talk about some of the concerts I've gone to. Platinum Blonde comes to mind.
I saw them at St. Catharines. Yeah. Port Colborne.
Misty Moon in Halifax in
Port Colborne, I saw that.
1994, 3.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So who's your band, Rob?
I'm you hit it with the old Def Leppard, pre-accident, you know, On Through the Night, High and Dry, Pyromania, Gods of War was a key one in '93 for me. That was such a great song. I tried to play it in the simulator to torment an instructor because I was in the simulator doing tactics and fighting in our simulator, and I would try and find ways to sneak it in, get someone else.
Larry Blevins, he's saying we're youngins.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Some old Hank, maybe.
Oh yeah, Matt Minglewood. John mentioned Matt Minglewood.
Rockin' the blues.
Yeah. Yeah. Some guys they're still complaining about the snow because Kevin, you're getting snow right now.
I can hear it hitting the window.
Yeah, we've got snow again too.
Yeah, Ian, Joe Bonamassa, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So you got some side chat's got some pretty good ones too.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the guy that used to play with? God damn.
What's his name? Yeah,
I'm having a hell of a time tonight.
That's the problem. The older you get, the harder it is to pick.
Yeah. That's why
favorite song, because you've just heard so many.
Come up with one, stick with it. No one will know the difference. Learn to fake it.
That's why I go back to that all the time. Like everybody always asks me too. It's like in interviews, it's like, hey, if you had one person to tour with, it's like, who would you tour with? I'm like, oh, man, that's such a hard question because if I ever have to like
tour with somebody and it's not them.
Yeah, it's like, well, that guy.
You picked that other guy. You didn't pick.
Yeah,
me.
so I mean, I keep it kind of generic, but at the same time, realistically, like, you know, same thing prior to the crash. 1977 Skinner, when they were on their high, was, you know, amazing. Like they were taken off like they were it, man. And obviously the plane crash that took them down was the thing that really destroyed the career. But wow, talk about insane legends in the making. And I mean, the backstory behind it, which I'm not sure a lot of you know, and I'm not going to get into it, but it's amazing. And I do love Slipknot too. Whoever wrote that, like, that's the stuff I grew up to. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, I didn't grow up on like, oh, I listened to Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard. Like, bro, I didn't. That's a lie. I'm not sexy like that at all. I grew up with fucking Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Slipknot and and Metallica and bands like that, I still listen to. I don't listen to country music. I sing it and I play it, but like I don't listen to country music, man. Like, it's just how it comes out when I sing and I play. But I get asked who's one of your biggest musical inspirations. It's like Alexis on Fire. Fucking thrash metal band from Ontario, because they created such a beautiful name brand, and they did it all as the underdog, and I love every minute of it. And their music's killer too, but at the end of the day, I root for the underdog, and they were like, I went to their first time I ever went to one of their concerts, not a fucking person in that place was moving. Everyone was like, what is going on here? And all I saw were these dudes just on stage rocking out, screaming and singing. And I was like, this is so cool. And ever since, man, I was hooked.
Yeah. For Marine Rider, I don't know if he follows Ricky Rackman on social media. He married Ink Master candidate Leah Vendetta, and they do a charity ride all through the States on Indians.
Oh, sweet. Right on, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's fundraising for Richard Petty's charity this year. Previous years, it's been veteran charity, stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you mentioned something that will segue into our next topic. Tours, events, performances, anything coming up? Like, I know you did the week before the motorcycle show, you were doing the sportsman show in Toronto. Got anything coming up? Anywhere you'd like to go? Things you'd like to do?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff that was coming up, and a lot of stuff had to get revamped because of the management team and whatnot. But the nice thing is that we're just setting up for a tour for next year. We're hoping to hit probably we'll go into Canada first, but we'll end up really attacking the States and whatnot. And, we're just going to, the big thing right now is going to be the plugs to music and to radio. Like the single PTSD that I wrote, it's going to radio at the end of the month. On the 29th, I think it's getting released for the remaster. So I'm really hoping that it gets to the people that it needs to get to. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the bullshit comes after, all the other stuff comes after. But the main portion right now is the purpose. And the purpose is for people to understand that, the song will let you understand that, listen, you're not alone. People have been through this before. There's tons of people that are still going through this right now. And just because it's hard, because if I sit here and say to you, well, Rob, you're not alone. You go, oh, thanks, bro. All right, see you later. Yeah. But to really understand it, to really, really let it soak in and go, holy shit, I'm actually I'm not crazy. There's people that are like me, So that's what I want to do with the song.
I think that, like the military and with all of this stuff going on in the world today, I think we recognize that PTSD is a much bigger deal than they ever used to. They used to just sort of say, "Oh yeah, you're fine. Go home, you're fine." And I think
shell shock. That's all they did was call it a name, and that was it.
Like, I think there's a lot more attention being brought to it, and I think that it's important because it's real, man. These guys go through hell, come back, and you're not. You got to do something to manage it, right?
Yeah, like the big thing is I'm sure it's happened with you guys too, And I know it's happened with a lot of people in the military and first response, but for the people that aren't into that are watching this, is that what you just touched on, is that it's so real that it's legitimately life and death. It's not a fucking game. It's not a song. It's legit life and death. And people are legitimately killing themselves every single day because, they think that they're alone. They think that they're a burden. They think that they're going crazy. And realistically, if we can start to spread maybe a little bit of joy and peace in it, like I don't look at my PTSD as an issue anymore. I look at it as a blessing, which is a fucking weird thing and a weird way of looking at it. I know that, but I don't look at it as, oh, I have PTSD. I go, dude, I can access some pretty ridiculous parts of my mind nowadays. Now that I've actually accepted my traumatic injury, that to the point where I can vividly go through my mind. And does it suck all the time? Sometimes, but sometimes it's incredible. So it's really turned into, almost a sick, weird blessing to me.
Yeah. And I'm really glad to see that you acknowledged the first responders. I had the privilege of working with EMS, a group of EMS workers up in Muskoka, and the number of PTSD cases within that small group, just over what they had to see on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
We don't think of first responders in the same way, but it's still a same type of injury.
Oh my God, I can tell you. Well, I can tell you because I was a cop for 7 years.
Yeah,
I can tell you personally that first responders needed a ton. I mean, I don't even know how many, fucked up death situations that I went into that, maybe 2 hours later I was in my car hanging out on my phone or doing my notes or something like that. Or then pulling someone over 2 hours later and them going, get a fucking life, man, get a real job. And it's just yeah, I just scraped the fucking kid off the ground, but no problem. I'll get a real job. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's all perspective, right? It's all, the problem is everybody in the world is in their own movie. Every one of us. We're all in our own movie right now. And after this is done, every one of us will continue our own movie, and we're going to continue on doing, making our own lives. The problem is people don't understand that, there's other lives out there. There's other things going on with other people. Right.
Yeah. And it's a hidden injury because people can't see it.
Totally.
If you break your arm, if you break your leg, if you have a traumatic injury, people can see it and they can accept, oh yeah, you've been hurt. It's going to take you X number of weeks or months to get over that injury. But injuries to the mind, people can't see it, and a lot of people don't understand it, or even take the time to understand it. Right?
Yeah, I think a lot of that, and again, I realize I say I think a lot, and the reason why I do that is because this is the way I think. I don't want anyone to go, oh well, he shouldn't be like that, or that's not the way it is. It's just how I think, right? But I think that it's really played into our minds that PTSD is one of these things that is such a bad thing, and it's something that if you have it, it's such a forbidden thing to have. And I'm to the point in my life now where I just don't give a shit. I tell people, yeah, I have PTSD. I'm an alcoholic. I don't care. All it does to me is holds accountability. That's it. I'm not saying it for you or to brag about it, for your knowledge. I'm saying it because I need to take accountability, knowing that, okay, I'm an alcoholic and I have post-traumatic stress, so I cannot drink safely and go out, and you know what I mean? And I know that stuff. So I think, the path to healing really comes from rigorous honesty. And there's a difference between regular honesty and rigorous honesty. you know, and rigorous honesty is that stuff, that shit that you want to go to the grave with, you know, that stuff. And that you're like, oh, I'll never say anything to anyone or never tell anyone that, and fucking, you know, and dumping all that out, getting rid of all that stuff, man.
But don't you think the music helps you with that? Because you,
No.
you can kind of you can't kind of work through some of that with the music.
No, reason being is because like it's so hard for me to take my deepest traumas and be able to write them down on music. I would have to generically do something like PTSD, don't want to live this way, because my trauma is probably similar to many others where it's complex. You know, a lot of my emotions come from really, you know, really sick, twisted situations, and it would be impossible for me to lyrically put that down without making not a hit song.
No, you know, the one song that kind of always sort of hit me in a funny way was that Bruce Cockburn song where he talks about, you know, if I had a rocket launcher, you know, I'd make that son of a bitch pay. You know, it's like I can't even imagine being in that situation. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and there's music is a great thing because it does help people. Like you might not know. A lot of times when you write a song, I think what they write it for and how I interpret it are different, right? And how I use it and how it helps me is it might not have anything to do with what you wrote about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, there's two things that you can never take back, right? And that's the words out of your mouth and the bullets out of a gun. So as soon as you say those words and you put them out, you can't take them back. So in 20 years, when you're talking about shooting someone in the face or something like that on your record, you got to fucking own that, man. You got to live with that. I mean, and you know, honestly, like the things that I've done in my career and in my life, I don't need, like, I can generalize them and put them down on paper, and one day I might put them down on a book. I don't know. I don't really think I'm that important yet, but or ever will be. But you know, the nice thing is I do it for Graham. That's the reason why I do it. I do it for me. I don't do it for anyone else. If anyone else gets something from it, then I'm over the moon, right? But I'm a selfish fuck, and I do it for me, and because I have to, because of this right here.
You know what? And I think as YouTubers, we tend to do a little bit of that too, because it's like I don't really sometimes care if people like some of the videos I put out, because it doesn't matter to me. I did it for me.
Yeah.
Sort of like the male versus female motor vloggers.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like
Sorry,
what you guys
Raymond.
have here is incredible. Like I think what you guys are doing here is brilliant, and that's why, you know, there was really no questions about being on it. Like it's smart, because, and I've given this speech at you know, at many different you know, invisible wounds conferences and things like that, and I always say that the smartest individuals were the veterans back when they were building the legion, like getting the legions together. And I said, you know, it had nothing to do with psychology or anything like that. And don't get me wrong, the alcohol didn't help at all. But really, what it had to do with was this: what you're seeing. It's camaraderie. This is just a bunch of guys sitting there shooting the shit, and you know, which is incredible. And that is all that the Legion was. But now we have the opportunity to be able to do this, share our stories, share our, you know, our common symptoms and whatnot, and do it right over YouTube, man. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah. And the great thing is,
when I first started working in the industry I'm in, there was an old millwright, an old veteran, World War II. About 2 days before he retired, we snuck up onto the roof of the plant that we were working in and sat up there in the sun watching the cars go by on the highway. And he finally sat there and started talking. He got done talking. It was quitting time. We sat there the whole afternoon. I never said a word. All I did was listen.
Yeah.
He told me all the stories that he He said, I've never even told my wife that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just said, thank you. And we got up, and 2 days later, he was gone. And, he passed away years later. I went to the funeral, and then all these old guys that I used to work with, they all retire. And every time I go to the funeral, who's sitting in the back pew but his wife? And I always go and sit with her, and I tell her that story every time.
Yeah, that's cool.
And yeah, just I don't know what it was. We kind of, over the years, and me being his apprentice, we bonded and we became really, really good friends. Generations apart. Like, I was 18, he was 65, and it just, I felt honored to sit there and listen to everything that he had to say, and I knew he'd never spoken those words since it happened till that day, and it was friggin' cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you could feel honored. I mean, it's potentially before this individual left or passed on to another world or whatnot, whatever it may be. I mean, just think about that. How old did you say he was at the time that he told you that?
He's just gonna retire, so he'd be like 65 that month.
So think about this, man. For 65 years, you carried around that fucking luggage.
Mm-hmm.
For 65 years.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I will not live like that. I'm not there, and I've seen death in many of my jobs that I've done. And if there's one thing that I got from it, was that life is really, really fragile and really short. And I will not live like that.
Mm.
My dad was a police officer. He was a police officer for 32 years, and he retired. He was a motor officer, actually. And when he retired, we talked about a lot of stuff, and he all the time growing up, I never heard one story about work because it was just too hard for him to talk about. And then the last year before he died, he started telling me stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking, holy crap, man, how did we manage to go fishing and hunting and all the stuff we did that's sort of normal, and you're carrying all this crap? And my dad, he dealt with it. He didn't deal with it well. I think that that was one of the reasons I was really glad you're coming on, talking about this PTSD stuff. But my dad he never really had a way of dealing with it, because at work they were told, like, you don't take that home, and they only talked about it with each other. And then I heard about it in fishing, and it's tough to hear sometimes some of the stuff he went through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that was the culture of the day.
Yeah.
You don't share, you keep it inside.
Big strong cop. I don't talk about that.
You take a look at the British Empire, stiffer upper lip, right? You no emotions, that you would show. It's more, it's becoming more acceptable in today's society because we're more aware of it, and we're working with it. But back then, I don't think so.
I think we're more aware of it, but like, to be honest with you, man, like when I was having some issues, like in my service, and I can say it now because I'm not a cop anymore, and the service doesn't even exist anymore, Orangeville PD. So, whatever. So, but when I was there, like, it had its issues, man. Like, all of them have their issues, but I mean, majority of the people are there to do good things and to be a good person. And similar to the Army, you're going to get shit pumps, and it's just the way it is, and it's unfortunate. It really is. But, I had a lot of issues in policing too, right? Like, I always had an issue when people always said it's like the military. I'm like, no, it's fucking not, man. Like, it's not. But getting back to the PTSD in it, like, mental health wise, like, the military is a million times further than policing is, like, by far, like even in all first response, because it's still a tough guy girl attitude, and just shit that I have no time or really care for. But that's what it is. It's that attitude of, I'm too big for this. I have no compassion, and and unfortunately, it's almost driven in you from the dark humor that you develop after a certain amount of time, similar to military.
Is it different from policing? Like policing, the thing, like the traumatic part is more when something tragic happens to an innocent person and the police are involved, like say a stupid car accident that kills the whole family or something like that, that as opposed to military being that, I don't want to say that it's expected, but you sign up for it. It's there in the back of your mind that these bad things are going to happen. They are going to happen.
I would say it's
can you steel yourself to that, where the police, it's kind of not.
I would say policing, it's worse, and the reason being is because when we did a lot of stuff in Afghanistan, and which everybody had to, it was different because I had such a great support system after. I had all my buddies with me. I had all that, and maybe I didn't have it as much when I left the military, but I definitely had it throughout any of the situations that any of the ticks we got in, anything like that, right? Policing, man, it's fucking like,
yeah,
it's different, bro. Like, there's no debriefs and shit. Like, there's some people who can make some really, just like military, some higher ups who make some really dumb fucking decisions. But it's like, the scary thing is with policing is that every single situation you have to judge. Like, you may go to like just this regular bullshit domestic or whatever, where it was a push and shove thing, right? But literally you have to sit there and focus and go, if I leave here, is he going to kill her? Is he going to come back? Is he going to do? And you're literally thinking of that nonstop, right? So you're making.
I've got friends in policing, and there are times where, I mean, we've broken off from the other group riding and gone and sat in a coffee shop because he needed to talk.
Yeah.
And it was something tragic had happened the day before, and you just couldn't get rid of it, right? So
yeah, like my higher ups in policing, like my chief was great, but like some of the staff sergeants were just fucking morons. And like I remember, like, we had like this situation where it was a motor vehicle collision, but an older guy, he ended up passing away in my arms and stuff like that. And it was just one of those situations that happens.
Yeah.
And it's super unfortunate. But I get back to the office and stuff like that, and I'm doing my notes up. And, this fucking idiot comes up to me and he's like, all right, well, after you're finished up there, let's get out there and get some tickets. And, I almost caught a charge there, bro, just wanting to punch that fucking guy in the head, because I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, so there was almost that zero compassion, for some, and I'm not saying for all, but for some, there was like a zero compassion, where it was more like numbers driven, like statistic driven. And it was just like, you're working and you're like, dude, there's a bigger picture here than the numbers and tickets and bullshit, but they don't see it, man.
Rob, Boots and Jeans comment.
Yeah. What I was going to reply to that is that what you can take away from that incident that you spoke of is that you were there for that guy. You helped his last moments. The car accident.
For sure. And
You take that as your solace, I guess.
sure. And like there's so many, unfortunately, there's so many different situations
Mhm.
similar to that have happened in policing. So you can understand like why it's hard to almost like take something like that and put it down on paper, So like writing it into music. It's almost like a generalization's easier. Like I'm having all these effects of PTSD because of this and this and this and this. Okay, so let me write about the generalization of what my effects are, how I'm going through it, what I'm doing to get through it. Like that's the biggest thing is, when I was trying to get healthy and get healed, all I saw was, people playing the world's smallest violin 90% of the time. And it was just like, dude, no, like, don't fucking go down that rabbit hole. Like, there's got to be something different. There's not like, I was at that stage where I had a gun in my mouth at one point. Like, I was there, But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to or need to continue going down a rabbit hole of negativity and, non-creativity. If that makes any sense.
Well, it's good that you're doing what you're doing and trying to help, right?
That's all we can do. I mean, we as veterans, like there's a lot of stuff that, we complain about, but I think it's a good thing because if we're not complaining, we're plotting, as we all know. So, but, at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff. And I want to give, I want to say that I'm very happy and grateful for Veterans Affairs that actually got to send me to a rehab facility, a few years back. And I got to actually do some soul searching and things that probably I would never get to do until I'm retired or near death. And I'm only 35, man. I've got a whole life ahead of me now.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to do that because, and I've already lived a whole life behind me, which is great, but that's the key. It's behind me now, so now I get to take my life and the principles and rules that I've applied and practice them and enjoy a beautiful living.
Rob, did you think this show was going to get this deep?
I did not. No, I didn't. But I'm going to take that as
wow,
sort of a get ready to wrap up. Graham, do you have any final thoughts, shout outs? I've pinned all your socials. They're all in the video description for where people can find you. What's that?
You got a new album coming out?
Yeah, so the first is going to happen with singles. Like I'm going to release the single first. So the first single that's going to be released from the album is entitled PTSD. It was written about my situation at the time, kind of, as I said, as a songwriter. And yeah, it's going to go out, get blasted out to radio and whatnot on the 29th. So,
is that guitar in tune beside you?
Actually, it sounds like
in a different direction.
Kind of drop D. Why? What's up?
I thought maybe once we get done saying goodbye, you could play us out.
Well, actually, I've got a plan for that.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up then. Sorry.
That's an added bonus if we get to hear Graham live.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm probably going to have to book in, shortly after here because I got to put my son to bed. But I don't have any other words other than anyone listening who is still dealing with it. As I said, and again, it's hard for me to sit there and pound it into your head that you're not alone, but it's true. You're really not. There's really going to be stuff. We're going to do some great things. Whatever money I raise with this song, I'm going to put completely back into trying to develop some larger programs similar to Alcoholics Anonymous, but doing it with trauma, which would be nice because I think there's so many communities that would just greatly get, some good practice out of that.
So one of the things as I'm stealing something that the Military Biker does. Julian Austin put out a song called Unsung Heroes about PTSD last year. And Military Biker was, I connected them and he went to the shooting the video, and even Military Biker did some of the drone work and stuff like that. And the Military Biker ends all his live streams now by playing that. And so that's what I like to do here is I've got it teed up on YouTube for a screen share, and I'm going to play the current YouTube video of PTSD. You say you have the radio edit remix that's coming out on the 29th of April, which is actually a very important date for me, because my last job in the military was 12 wing chief of staff. And while I was in that job was when we lost Stalker 2-2 off HMCS Fredericton on April 29th. So that is an important and memorable date for me. And actually at the very beginning, one of the pictures I added of me is me beside the Stalker 2-2 memorial. So what I'm going to do is thank everyone for coming into the side chat. We was fairly active tonight. We only have a dozen people left, but I'm going to play your video momentarily and then end the stream there, and then we'll all go into the back. So thanks for the side chat for everyone who came in. John, Frontier Adventures, deepest condolences for the loss of your friend. We can imagine as a Padre in the military, he's seen a lot. And so on that note, I'm going to hit the screen share button by sharing this one.
So just everybody out there, peace to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Might just be buffering.
Hit play.
Cigarettes on the couch, stuck inside my head, and I just can't get out. The hardest fight I had is here inside my brain. I try to forget, but the memories remain. I don't want to live this way, losing all my control, and I can't seem to find the way to what it was. Tired of the same damn thing, gotta face what I own. The one I tried to leave followed me back home. I don't want to live this way. I try to find my way deep inside a drink. Sobered up and it was back inside of me. The feeling that I had is I'm in this so long, till I found out that I'm not the only one. Don't want to live this way, losing all my control, and I can't seem to find the way to what it was. I'm tired of the same damn thing, gotta face what I own. I tried to leave, followed me back home. I don't want to live this Don't wanna live this way, walking that road alone. You're the furthest thing from lonely and the only one. It's never gonna be alright, so one day at a time. It's okay not to be okay and be afraid. You don't gotta live this way.
That's awesome.